I was 15 years old, during the weekend in June when everything would change. My mom had decided to skip town to visit her distant family, as she felt that she had earned a break. Nothing unusual about the decision to just up and leave, as she often goes to visit the other side, as she calls it. She'd either visit her parents, a part of the family I actually enjoyed seeing, who occupy a modest cottage up in the hills of some English countryside. Or, if she was feeling tolerant, she would make the lengthy trip to see her annoying yuppie cousins, living it up on their seemingly never-ending Spanish property. That's where she was going this time. I never felt the need to put myself through listening to their constant loudmouth whining of their quest for importance. But given the choice now, I would have sat through a week of their intolerable rambling if I could have known what that weekend had planned for me. I was awakened by my mom on Friday morning, and as usual, she'd gotten me the day off school. I was told that she'd be back on Monday morning, just in time to make sure that I'd gone back to school to reassure my teachers that it was nothing more than a 3-day stomach bug. I carried her bags to the car, gave her a kiss on the cheek, waved her goodbye, and just like that, she was gone. I wandered into the kitchen to make myself some breakfast, all the while thinking how excited I'd gotten the first time my mom had trusted me to stay home on my own. It was different now, nearing trivial. Almost the entirety of that first day consisted of me lazing about. I listened to my music, played some games, watched a movie, all the usual things a bored teenager would do. Then I fell asleep. After what I was thinking was about 2 hours of sleep, I was awoken in the evening by a knock. I arose from the couch like a zombie, still sleepy and aching from the awkward position that I'd somehow let my limbs rest in. I had initially planned to ignore the knock at the door, but the thought of it being a friend made me want to answer. Having company always made the weekend go faster. I clenched the door handle with a faint smile on my face and hoped that I didn't look as tired as I felt. With my eyes still half closed and that strange taste in my mouth that I get after I sleep, I opened the door. My eyes soon widened when I realized what I was looking at. A tall, bony-looking old man was standing in my doorway. He was dressed in a black suit and a tie, with an aging bowler hat placed on top of his scraggly gray hair. His white shirt was stained with the yellow and brown tint that I can only guess was coffee, and the shoes that he was wearing were very well kept, very shiny, so much so that I could see my reflection in them. He began to speak. His words were hushed, maybe even hissed in a childlike sort of tone. But I couldn't focus. I knew he was speaking, but I couldn't concentrate on the words he was saying. Not while I was looking at his face, staring into his eyes. His aged complexion was taut, wrinkled and very pale, almost like a hazy shade of silver, but the edges of his eyes were completely black. What looked like smeared charcoal surrounding his vision only highlighted the depth of his gaze. There was nothing human about them. They seemed hollow, lifeless. The fear that gripped me when he started staring through me was like nothing I'd ever felt before. I took a deep breath and finally mumbled a word. "Hello?" I said. He smiled, a disgruntled plight to infect my dreams. It seemed to extend upward towards his ears as if there was nothing stopping it. His mouth was packed with razor-sharp, dirty black teeth. Every once in a while, his black tongue would swipe the surface of his upper deck in a slurp. With his head tilted slightly to the left, he crooned softly. "Hello there, child. I'm here to offer you something important. Something that you might need. I'm a salesman, you see. Just a salesman. Please, all I need is a moment of your time, in exchange for some peace of mind. Are you interested? I couldn't move. I could hardly breathe. I felt frozen. Terror had encompassed me. I finally muttered a sentence. I can't. I have to go. It's too much, I'm sorry. The door slammed behind me and I could breathe again. I could think. I slouched down to the ground, trying to process what I had just witnessed, when out of nowhere a thud made itself known. I looked up, with my mouth ajar, and my eyes darting about. Then I slowly stood. Making my way into the kitchen, I can hear a gentle humming. It was a happy kind of tune, but the unknown source made me shiver. My stomach dropped as I turned the corner. He was there, humming that tune, smiling that smile as he sat at my table just staring at me. I backed away towards the front door where I was welcomed by a shadow. That can't be him, I thought to myself. I began to tear up. I couldn't help it. I headed straight upstairs, past my bedroom, past my mom's room, and vanished into the bathroom. I could hear him. He was singing now, right outside the door. I panicked. I didn't know what to do. Then it hit me, my only choice. I couldn't believe I was actually contemplating climbing out of the second-floor window. But I had to. The shadow passing by through the light on the other side of the door was forcing me to do it. I opened the bathroom window and stared outside, but then I stopped. There he was, standing on the edge of my garden, waving at me and slowly drifting down the road, taking his song with him and slowly fading into the distance. That night I slept in the bathroom, with the door and window locked. I set up a bed using a bunch of towels. I just couldn't bring myself to leave until daylight emerged. The next day finally arrived, after what seemed to be the longest night of my life, and I had to get out of the house. I went over to stay at my friend's house for the day. Adam was his name, a small skinny guy who I'd known my whole life. I thought that he can help me forget about what happened. It's a strange feeling you get when something so frightening happens to you, but seems so unrealistic. You begin to doubt yourself. It's almost as if you have two minds. But I knew in my heart that it was real. And if I didn't believe after the first meeting with the salesman, it would definitely be forever etched in my mind after the weekend was over. Later that night, I was told that I couldn't stay at Adam's house, as his family had to get up for church in the morning. I begged and pleaded with them to let me stay, but his stubborn mother was having none of it and sent me on my way. I only lived 3 streets from where his house was, so it wasn't much of a walk. But I still had to walk back in the dark of night, and I wasn't looking forward to it at all. That face kept creeping into my mind. The fact that someone had been able to scare me out of my own home was sickening. That damn song he kept humming. That song he kept humming. I turned the corner and I could hear it. The tune, the voice, he was here. I looked down the road expecting it to be empty. Just my mind playing tricks on me, I thought. But there he was, standing under the streetlight staring at me, smiling. He began to walk towards me, his hum turning into a song, singing louder and louder as he began to run at me. I had to run. I sprinted in the other direction as fast as I could. I could hear his footsteps behind me. How is he so fast? My frazzled mind wondered. I had to get back to Adam's house. I had to. I turned the corner and banged on Adam's door frantically. Open the door! Open the door! I shouted, his mother answering, looking terrified, questioning me what happened. I stumbled into their house and scurried backwards, only to look outside to realize that he was gone. Was it my imagination? It couldn't have been. But there was nothing there. Nothing. Nothing. Except for an old bowler hat on the ground. Needless to say, she let me stay at the house that night. Because, as she put it, I wasn't fit to stay on my own. I woke up the next morning, feeling like a mess and looking even worse. But at least the sun was out. I had to get back home. I hadn't been there in a whole day and I had to make sure everything was okay. I thanked Adam and apologized to his mom. Then I was off on my way. I stood at my front door, took a deep breath, and gripped the handle. Then I heard a bang. And another. And another. I jumped back from the door in pure fear. I couldn't believe it was him again. How was he doing this? Just as I had gathered enough courage to turn the handle and go inside, my mom opened the door to me. I'd never been so happy to see her in my entire life. I hugged her and told her to never leave me on my own again. After that, we went inside and sat together all day. Something we haven't done since I was a young boy. And everything felt safe again. She showed me in her new white dress that she had bought while she was away. She told me all about her visit to her annoying cousins and spoke very highly of her weekend. But I couldn't do the same. That afternoon, I told her everything that had happened. She listened intently and couldn't believe that something so horrible had happened to me. She felt so guilty. She apologized over and over and told me that we would go to the police station the next day. But right now, it could wait, and we had to get ready for dinner. I was confused that she said that, but I suppose I was safe with her. An hour or so later, we settled down for our meal. I told her all about school, explained to her how much better I had gotten on guitar, updated her on my love life, and she sat there and listened, smiling as I ate my meal. She stared at me, and I felt uneasy. Her smile slowly got bigger and bigger. All the white, her new white dress slowly melted into a black suit. She hissed, "Do you see how easy it is to give someone some of your time?" At that moment, he was stood right in front of me. I cried out loud. "I knew it wasn't over. What do you want? Why me? Why my mom?" "You know why I chose you, child? You never listened. I told you it could have been something that you might need. I told you it was important. But you ignored me. You didn't have the time, your precious time. The only way I could get you to listen was by using the one person that you trust, that you listen to. And let's just say that I like to be somebody else, if only for a while." "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I'll listen now." "It's too late for that. It's too late. It's a shame too, child, because it really could have saved your life." Then that was it. It was over. Done. So, how am I writing this now? Why am I telling you all of this? Well, you've given me some of your time, so here's your supposed peace of mind. I like to be somebody else. If only for a while. I hope you ghouls enjoyed that longer creepypasta. I usually do shorter ones, but this one was really long, but it was also really good. I was messing around with the effects, so let me know in the comments if you guys liked the effects that I used, or if it made it annoying or unbearable or you couldn't understand. Let me know so I know to use it again or not to use it again. Secret word of the day will be movies. So let me know, what good movies have you seen lately? Because I haven't really seen any good movies lately other than Civil War, because I have been watching it over and over and over and over. Because I love it so much. So let me know in the comments what good movies you've seen or what movies you'd recommend me see. But as always, the last video will be on the top left, the next video will be on the bottom left. All my social medias are on the screen as well as in the description box below. And remember, there's always someone or something watching you.